Hi again. So, my name is Alex Chan, and this is my PowerPoint presentation for The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. So, first of all, I'm going to be just talking about a little bit of the importance of the book before going into the habits themselves. Something that's really great about this book is that it ignores trends and pop psychology and focuses on timeless principles. And principles like this include fairness, integrity, honesty, and human dignity, things that are really important to all people, and that is something that will always be important basically for the rest of your life. This book delves into powerful lessons using these seven habits to invoke personal change or growth. This book can really be read at any point in someone's career. Yes, so it can be applied to all age groups and professions. Whether you are just trying to pick yourself up again from a really hard time, this book is a really great way for you to organize your life. Maybe you already have a really amazing job. This book will still help you put your priorities in order and will always be a good read. And it's been acclaimed by several notable people, one of them being John Pepper, who is the president of Procter and Gamble, and the other being Michael Phelps. He's an Olympic gold medalist. So here we have a president and a professional athlete. So this book can really be read by any kind of person. So going into the first habit that he talks about is being proactive. And this means taking responsibility in your own life. So people who are proactive don't like to blame genetics, conditions, or circumstances for their behavior. They will always take things upon themselves and do things on their own accord. While on the other hand, people who are reactive are easily affected by their personal environment. Things that you can always be proactive about and improve and do something about are your health, your children, and problems at work. These are just a few examples that you can always take the initiative for and take care of. And obviously, there you always have to respond to external stimuli from the environment. Not You can't control what happens to you, but what you can control is how you choose your own response. You can always choose how you respond to something, and um, how you respond to it. Again, it's definitely on you. And I just have some examples of what proactive language should be and words that I would encourage someone to use to be proactive, which are I can, I will, and I prefer, as opposed to reactive language, which definitely has more of negative tone to it. Words like I can't, I have to, and if only. So someone using these kinds of words definitely seems like they are forced to be doing something, as opposed to them um, making that choice to improve themselves and to be better. Habit two is beginning with the end in mind. So this is a quote that I really like from Stephen Covey. People are working harder than ever, but because they lack clarity and vision, they aren't getting very far. They, in essence, are pushing a rope with all their might. Beginning it with the end in mind to me basically means have your goal in mind um, when approaching anything. And I like this diagram right here, where you first have a mental creation. It might look a little bit rough around the edges, but you have an idea of what you want to accomplish at the end. And once you put in all that hard work, you'll have this physical creation, which looks a lot cleaner. And you've really brought your mental idea into the physical world, and you can appreciate the fruition of your effort. And in this chapter, Stephen really emphasizes to connect with yourself with your own uniqueness, and then define your moral and ethical guidelines to express yourself. And I feel like you can apply this new habit to sales, because at the end of a sale, you want to um, be able to close out the deal, but you won't be able to close out the deal before you define your own uniqueness, and you have to have a certain set of guidelines going into it that you're going to follow in order to accomplish this goal and bring it into, again, a physical creation. Habit 3 is putting first things first, and this means to prioritize what is most important to you and get those tasks done first. Something that is really interesting that Stephen says is living is a balanced existence, and you don't need to do every single thing that comes along. You should definitely um, live by, again, what your priorities are. You should live by the priorities that you value the most and not the agendas and forces of the things surrounding you. So, as a salesman, you definitely have to have your priorities straight because there's always going to be a lot of different things that you have to do in a day and a lot of different people that you have to call. So, having good time management and understanding what needs to be done first can definitely be applied to sales in this sense. Habit 4 is thinking win win, and this means to work effectively with others in order to achieve optimal results. Seeking mutual benefits and satisfaction from both parties is a example of what a win-win situation would be, and there are important characteristics in order for one to have a win-win attitude. And the first is integrity. And having integrity means to always stick with your true feelings, values, and your commitments. Maturity is expressing your ideas and feelings with courage and consideration for the ideas and feelings of others. So, this just means to be considerate about other people and how you guys are both achieving a common goal. And finally, abundance mentality means always believing that there's plenty for everyone. That means don't be greedy. There's definitely enough for everyone in order to achieve a win win situation. Finally, or not finally, sorry. Habit 5 means to seek first to understand and then to be understood. Most people will often first seek to be understood, which is the reverse of what it should be. And people really want to first get their point across. And by doing so, you might end up ignoring what the other person is trying to say to you completely. And you could do this by pretending that you're listening, selectively hearing certain parts of what they say, and this will ultimately end up you missing their point entirely. And I really like this diagram here, where it kind of represents the intersection of a customer and a salesperson, where either one of the people are talking and the other person is listening, and the intersection between these two things is truly what understanding is. And seeking first to understand and then to be understood will result in a high level of trust in a relationship. And by developing this trust between your customer, you will be more likely to close out a deal because of the relationship that you guys have. And it's similar to building rapport. Habit 6 is to synergize, and this means to have teamwork. To innovate and problem solve with those who have a different point of view, and two heads are better than one. Again, emphasizing the idea of teamwork because working together with several people will be able to create the best solution possible. But this sounds really glamorized, but this definitely does not come easily. Um, when working with many people, there's always going to be a multitude of personal experiences, a lot of expertise, and a lot of varying perspectives. And the best way to work with everyone is to be genuine and to be open to these different perspectives. And by doing so, you can choose the best parts of each person's ideas in order to come up with the best solution possible. And finally, habit 7 is sharpening the saw. This means to seek continuous improvement and renewal professionally and personally. Um, this habit is really interesting to me because in my sales seminar class, we had a lot of high-level salespeople come in to talk to us. And what they sought after the most, actually, for sales, are people who are really young. And that's because people who are young are really hungry for this continuous improvement and to climb the ladder. And the ways that people can improve themselves, according to Covey, are in these 4 areas: physically, socially, and emotionally. socially and emotionally, mentally and spiritually. So, physically, an example of how you can improve this upon yourself is to always eat well and to exercise. Socially and emotionally, you should always be making meaningful connections with others, whether it be with new people or strengthening the connection that you have with your family. Mentally, you can read, write, or teach others your craft. And spiritually, a great way to do this is to spend time in nature, appreciate art, and to meditate. So you should always be sharpening your saw and improving who you are as a person. Because oftentimes, people like to practice using their saw and will forget to refine it and improve these 4 areas of your life. So those are the 7 habits summarized and how they can potentially apply to sales. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Here is Stephen Covey. Again, my name is Alex Chan. Here's my email address, and this was my sales technique video project for AEB 3341. Thank you so much for listening.